Hello friends, Michael Shane Bloom here. Perfect time to wrap up 2021 with my top 10 favorite images that I took last year. 2021 was the most difficult year of my entire life, and I'll get more into that a little bit later, but I am really proud of a lot of the images that I took this year. So I'm really excited to share them with you all, and also to share some of the adventures that were my favorites from last year as well. Starting off with my adventure to Death Valley National Park. It was one of those occasions where I was really able to use my imagination and be as creative as possible. And those are really my favorite types of shoots. I mean, the days that I was out there weren't really that extravagant. They were just normal, clear days with blue sky, but I just ended up coming away with some of my favorite images, not just from that park, but that I've ever taken. So this image right here was pretty dramatic, and this is the only time I've ever seen a bird fly over the dunes, so I was remarkably lucky to get this image right here. I already had my composition picked out, so I just snapped images of the bird in different positions. And I loved those people out there for scale, just having them at the edge of the dune. I went back and forth between, leaving them in or cloning them out, but I think having them in there added a nice sense of scale to the image. Now another dune image, something completely different. This photo right here was a ton of fun to capture. This just beautiful minimalism. It's completely different from the other frame, and I like it for very different reasons. This image is way more understated than the other one. The other one, I mean, it's just, you've got the people in there, you've got the bird flying over, you've got this just intense, dramatic sunset light with the wind blowing on the dunes. And then this one's just simple, subtle. Blue sky, little dune ridges, a bit of light and shadow. It was taken not even that close to sunset. I just love the way this one came out. Death Valley's always been one of my favorite places to shoot for many years, and it's one of those places where I can always go back and find something new or interesting to capture. I mean, I could revisit those dunes day after day for weeks straight and still find new things to photograph. Those are really the places that I enjoy shooting the most. Speaking of understated, it brings me to my next image, which probably is not gonna be your favorite out of this bunch. In fact, it will probably be your least favorite, but it's one of my favorites, is this image right here. This little turtle protecting its egg, or in the video I had said it was a dragon, but so many people in the comments said it looked like a turtle that it started changing my opinion of it as well. I was like, wait, you know what? I think it is a turtle, actually. I was very proud of the way this video came out because I put so much effort into it, and during this day I was capturing so many images that I was proud of and using my imagination to really just, come up with all these different compositions. And what's funny is this actually ended up being my most disliked video out of any video that I've done recently in the last, I think 2 or 3 years. I think that perhaps some people found this video a little bit boring. They were just like, dude, you're at the beach taking pictures of rocks. But to me, it meant so much more than that. It's just so fun to capture images of seemingly ordinary objects and turn them into something completely different. I mean, it's one of my favorite things to do in photography, and I've done this with many different subjects, just creating little fantastical scenes out of scenes that somebody would just walk past and not even think twice about. So that's really why this ended up being one of my favorite shots. All right, on to this one, and I'm proud of this image for kind of a different reason. This image was taken right in the heart of Golden Gate Park, which if you've been to Golden Gate Park, It's not a prime destination for landscape photography, I would say. It's really just a city park. So the fact that I was able to find this really interesting composition that looks like it could have been some gnarly ancient forest in the UK, I felt quite proud of that. I love that dramatic, ethereal glow in the background and all of these twisty shapes, and how the whole thing is framed by these thicker branches that make this sort of circle. I'm just really happy with the way this came out. It was a really fun vlog to shoot, and yeah, hope y'all enjoyed it. So now we can move on to something a little bit more dramatic. Of course, I'm talking about storm chasing. Definitely one of my favorite memories of 2021. I was out there with Nick Page, Mike Mezuel, and a bunch of friends. And this was my only trip that I took out of California. This was the only trip I took that year, and I'll explain a little bit more of why that ended up being the case. It was one of my first times also shooting with friends. I've been doing all this stuff solo for so long, and it just felt so good to be out there with friends and share these memories with other people. From those videos, I captured this image right here of these cacti out in Arizona. You can see this menacing storm cloud coming towards the cacti in the frame. Many of you gave your interpretations of what you thought this cloud looked like. I think we landed on it looked pretty much like a dragon. Many of you thought it looked like the dragon from The Never-Ending Story, which I thought was cool. Again, this is one of those situations where it's really taking ordinary things, cactus, storm cloud, and making something just completely fantasy-like out of it. And I loved all the stories that you guys came up with in the comment section. That was so fun to see all the different interpretations of this photograph. But for this one, I did quite a large focus stack to get everything sharp in this frame. And I also shot this quite wide too. This was a 16mm frame to get all of this in there. Okay, so we've stopped and we're shooting a lightning storm. But what's special about this lightning storm is it's been hitting this mountain out there in the distance. And I checked the back of the camera. I got a strike going right down onto the mountain. And oh my gosh, it just struck it. Did you see that? Did you get it? It's amazing. I don't really know what I can say about this moment. It was incredible. It was the best birthday present I could have ever asked for. This literally was shot on my birthday. It was a day of uncertainty. I wasn't really sure if we were going to get anything that day, and ended up getting one of my favorite lightning strikes of all time. This moment was so awesome to capture, and if you haven't seen that vlog where I shoot this image, it's also one of my favorite videos that I've done on the channel, so I'd highly encourage you to pop over and check that one out. After that Arizona trip, I got some really unfortunate news. I got pretty much the worst call that somebody could get, and it was my parents on the other line, and I did find out that my dad was diagnosed with cancer. I pretty much packed up all my stuff. I rushed home to San Diego. I canceled any job that I had, and from August until the new year, I lived down in San Diego, helping my folks, and just sort of, being there with my family for the treatment. Now, on the positive side, my dad is doing great. He is in remission, and we're so lucky. I mean, it was honestly the best news after the worst news, the best news after the worst news. But for a few months, August, September, October, November, it was the biggest roller coaster that my family's ever been through. So I did take a break from photography, and I didn't do any trips after that. I stayed in San Diego. I shot a little bit locally, which I did actually take some images that that I was pretty proud of. But yeah, it was certainly a rough few months there, and we're just so thankful that he's doing better. And in this terrible situation, you know, I think we grew a lot closer as a family. But anyways, so I'd like to show you some of the images I captured in San Diego. This is the first one. This is taken in a parking lot. It was one of the first images I captured after, you know, making the move down to San Diego. And it's very special to me. You know, I took quite a long break from photography, and I was just kind of getting the gears moving again, and stumbled upon this scene, and I stood there for like 45 minutes with my tripod and the film camera on there, just waiting for the paraglider to get in the right position. Yeah, I'm really happy with the way this came out. And then I also captured this one, slight variation on that. A little bit of symmetry going on. I like how these lights almost look like broomsticks. So I also filmed a new video at the La Jolla Coves. I am super excited about it. It was one of the best sunsets I've ever seen. That's no exaggeration. It was a crazy sunset that lasted for like 2 hours, but that'll come out this year. I have a bunch of new images from that video, but here is one of my favorites from that video. Now this image is quite interesting. I loved the colors here, the balance between the warmer and cooler tones, the sort of yellowish oranges matched with the blue tones. I also loved the water motion here. I loved how the water is streaming in from the bottom right and bottom left around those incredible rocks that have the glow on them. And then I thought the sky was pretty cool too. I thought the sky with this glow right on the horizon, dramatic glow, and then big kind of darker puffy clouds up top. I just thought the whole image worked really well. It was one of the last images that I captured on that evening. You know, it's funny, as I was talking, the fog came back. I may have to go take some pictures, but I need to get through the rest of these images. Okay, so now going back to 35mm film photography. Now this was taken in Torrey Pines State Park. I just love the placement here of the moon, with those branches of this gnarly tree. I actually photographed this composition on multiple different days under different conditions, and this one right here ended up being my favorite. But I do love how this is captured on film. I like the film grain and the quality. I like the color and textures here as well. You know, I could have done this digital, but I felt like doing it with the 35mm film camera at 105mm just worked really well. And now on to my last image, which, you know, if we're talking about fog, we gotta have a fog image in here, right? I mean, I capture so much fog throughout the year. Fog is one of my favorite things to shoot, so naturally had to include one, and it's this image from my Mount Tam fog vlog. This image right here was definitely a special one. I loved the different layering of trees and how you get that island of trees right in the middle that's surrounded and almost swallowed by this sea of dramatic, warm clouds. I also really liked how in the middle, each one of these layers makes different V shapes. I thought that was a nice touch, but super dramatic, super fun image to capture. And it's crazy how, you know, I've been going up to these different mountains and hills for years and years and years, since, you know, 2013 now, I think. And I still am just finding so many new things to capture. I feel like in 2021, I captured so many fun fog images that I hadn't, you know, previously seen before. And yeah, so just a lot of fun. Those were some of my favorite videos to make as well, and I really hope you enjoyed them. You know, for a year where I didn't really travel, I'm quite proud of the images that I came up with. I came up with a lot of interesting compositions that really challenged, you know, my creativity. You know, I just wanted to say, for any of you who maybe you're new to the channel, or you've stuck around for a few years, or you're an early supporter, thank you so, so much for being here. Thank you so, so much for the kind and supportive words. And if you have been around for a while and you stuck around through my through certain gaps and certain hiatus from this channel, I really appreciate the support and you sticking around. So now it means the world to me, and yeah, I'm very excited to see what 2022 brings.